From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, May 28th, 2015. Silver is trading at $16.71 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,188 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $239. Antiwar.com reports Saudi warplanes yesterday attacked the police headquarters in the Yemeni capital city of Sana'a, killing at least 45 people and wounding 100 others. The stricken area, presented as a special forces camp by some reports, was said to be used by the Shiite Houthis to try to organize local resistance against the remnants of the former Hadi government. At the time of the strike, hundreds of people, many of them civilians, were lined up at the warehouse near the headquarters for the distribution of arms. It was unclear what the split was between civilians and combatants. A second series of Saudi strikes in the Hijaz province killed about 40 others, mostly civilians in that case. FPP Radio News is brought to you by Coinbase. Coinbase is a simple and secure online Bitcoin wallet for sending, receiving, and storing Bitcoin. I trust Coinbase. You should too. Get started at coinbase.fppradio.com. That's coinbase.fppradio.com. UPI reports the Nebraska legislature abolished the use of capital punishment Wednesday by voting to override Governor Pete Ricketts' veto of a bill to repeal the death penalty. The legislature voted 30-19 in a bipartisan move to override the veto, which he signed Tuesday. At least 30 votes were needed to override the veto. Ricketts is a staunch supporter of the death penalty, saying it strengthens public safety and prevents convicted murderers from being released into the public. He tweeted that he was appalled by the vote, saying, "While the legislature has lost touch with the citizens of Nebraska, I will continue to stand with Nebraskans and law enforcement on this issue." The legislature approved the bill 3 times, each time with a veto-proof majority before it was sent to Ricketts. Nebraska's unicameral legislature is majority Republican, and the repeal makes it the first conservative state to end capital punishment in more than 40 years. 18 other states and Washington, D.C. have also banned the death penalty. The death penalty has been undergoing some reconsideration in the U.S. within the last several months after states started running out of the traditional drugs used for lethal injection. The Supreme Court is set to decide whether midazolam, an anti-anxiety drug and depressant, violates the 8th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which bans cruel and unusual punishment. It's the first time the Supreme Court has revisited the issue of lethal injection since 2008, when justices upheld the use of a 3-drug lethal injection cocktail. For over 35 years, Roberts & Roberts has been a trusted source for buying and selling your investment-grade precious metals. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and permanently removed the minimum purchase order for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on investing and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 850-478-5270 or online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports the U.S. military mistakenly sent live anthrax bacteria to laboratories in 9 U.S. states and a U.S. airbase in South Korea after apparently failing to properly inactivate the bacteria last year. The Pentagon said there was no known suspected infection or risk to the public, but 4 civilians have been started on preventative measures called post-exposure prophylaxis, which usually includes the anthrax vaccine, antibiotics, or both. Jason McDonnell, a spokesman for the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, said the 4 face minimal risk, adding they were doing procedures that sent the agent into the air. When anthrax becomes airborne, it can cause a deadly illness called inhalation anthrax that occurred in 2001 when anthrax sent through the U.S. mail to government and media targets killed 5 people. In this case, the anthrax, which was initially sent from a Utah military lab, was meant to be shipped in an inactive state as part of efforts to develop a field-based test to identify biological threats. Pentagon spokesman Colonel Steve Warren said, out of an abundance of caution, the Defense Department has stopped the shipment of this material from its labs pending completion of an investigation. The CDC has launched its own investigation of the mishap. The mishap comes 11 months after the CDC, one of the government's top civilian labs, similarly mishandled anthrax. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.